Welcome to part 3 of the garden design project, where we took this boring space and used CoPilot's AI generated image as the inspiration. Quick recap: we've cut down a few trees as well as rescue some baby birds so far. I've also done quite a lot of work, including digging out 13 tree stumps, laying about 300 individual pavers. I've sprayed my fences with cuprinol paint. And then I've also planted a load of buxus box and lavender plants, as well as put in some brand new lighting. We've added anthracite gravel edging to hold back the existing gravel, and I've put some fancy cuts in to make some very nice straight paved lines for the edge of the grass. We've reused some vector screen with envy screens, one of which needed colour matching, so that was done as well, and I've put some new pots out as well to make it look very modern. This was the reveal at the end of part 2, so now time to concentrate on the back ivy wall. Welcome back. As you heard, this is part 3 in the series of the garden renovation designed by CoPilot. And I'm starting this part by drawing a semicircle around this area of grass which would need to be removed. In the design, as you'll see here, there is a fire pit space, which is useful because we do have a fire pit and we don't really have many places to be able to use it. So this was going to make a nice gravelled area. So I started off with some standard spray paint and used a piece of string pegged into the ground to try and draw a perfect circle. So the initial circle's sprayed out, and I'll be honest, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that it comes back on itself here, because remember, that's going to be straight. It shouldn't be coming back on itself, so I think I need it bigger. So I'm going to try again, moving the peg, which is over here, further back, maybe over to this side. See if I can make a bigger circle. Once I was happy with the second line, that outer one there, I used my trusty edging tool in my slippers for some reason, God knows why, and went round, cut the grass, and then got a spade and removed it all. Then it was a simple case of removing all of the gravel, cutting a bit of a trench into the ground ready for the pavers, and I filled that with 10 mil gravel, which I then used to compact down. Here's our dog Rocket, who came to give me a hand. Once the space was compacted, it was ready for the next step. Starting this one slightly differently, I've cut this kind of semicircle area out of the turf and gone down level so that a brick is lower than the grass level by about an inch. It's allowed me to add 10 mil gravel and also some of that slab base. What I've done is I've just compacted it down. I'm going to wet that in a sec, and when that sets, that will actually just make a nice solid base for this to sit on. Now I am also going to use the weed membrane on the top of this, and then I'll put more of it on to help level the bricks. Now here's the issue that I've got currently, in that if you look from the bottom of the garden here, actually, I don't know if this really shows you very well, but it does taper down. It's not flat, and the challenge is that I can't use a spirit level on this bit, so I'm going to have to space the bricks by eye and also try and just keep them level with the grass and follow the grass line. So I'm actually going to use the turf as the string line essentially and move it round that way. I'm going to go all the way to here because there is a line here that's then going to connect, if you can see it, all the way down there. So that's the line I'm going to be working to. Although basically I'm going to have to look at the garden as two areas. This old tree that's been cut off and is currently covered in ivy, that's one section which will just literally be a nice straight line, and then the next one is going to be a continuation of that line, removing this bit which we'll add lawn to later like we did before, and that will join on to this, which will then do the I wouldn't call it a half circle, but you know what I mean, it's like a quarter circle. This will all be covered in gravel, and then it'll be a fire pit area. I'm going to redesign this so that there's some nice seats, maybe 3 or 4 stools or wooden logs or something, and I do enjoy a fire, so it'll be nice to have a dedicated space where that can be permanently set up. Later on I might buy one of those solo stoves. I might even build a solid one like out of brick, but for now we'll just use the one that I've already got. As per videos 1 and 2 in this series, I used Slab Layer. It's a really cheap product. It's got mortar and sand mixed together, and all you have to do is wet it with some clean water. So it's perfect for laying slabs and also these pavers because it sets rock solid, makes a really sturdy base, especially on that 10mm gravel. Here I am just leveling up this brick. As you can see, I've had to add a little bit more material to be able to make sure that it's nice and flat, and just a case of taking the time, working all the way round until the circle was completed. So it's the next morning. I now have a week off work, so just wanted to show you how I got on yesterday. What I did was I made sure that the corners were touching on this side all the way along, and I've tried my best to space it. I tried to use different tools to make the spacing the same, but it always ended up either being too far that way or too far that way, so I've had to do it by eye. So you might notice that a couple of them, hello Rocket, a couple of them are a tiny bit. I mean, I think I've noticed like this looks slightly more than that, etc., but it was needed to get the angle. What I am going to do is I am going to buy some polymeric sand to fill the gaps on these. I think I'm going to have to tape the front though to stop the material falling over onto the grass. But I think that's going to look really nice as it is there, so that'll go along. And what we'll do is once that's connected, we'll keep going till we get to there, then we're going to turn it and the bricks are going to come this way. The job for today, I think, is to finish these last 3 or 4 bricks here. Then I'm going to level that bit of ground, clear all this rubbish, put some weed suppressant membrane down, and then get loads of gravel, and it'll look continuous. Then I can put the fire pit in place. I can maybe get some new chairs to put around it, and I think this corner will pretty much be there, which I'm quite excited to see. Weed membrane is a very, very important part of any project that involves laying things directly onto soil. You'll be surprised how quickly weeds will start to develop, especially through things like gravel where there's drainage, and you don't want that. You'll be pulling weeds out every weekend. So for the sake of spending 10 or 20 pounds on a big roll of membrane, just put that down before you then put your gravel or any other material over the top. Now, I mentioned before we have about 20 to 30 tons of this gravel all over the property, so I could just go and get extra if I needed it and just relocate it around and leveled it off with a rake. You would be surprised at how much bigger this space now looks because it's one solid colour as opposed to being broken up with the dirt. But what I've done is I've mounted it up level with what was already there. The reason it's slightly different colour at the moment is I've wet it. Some of the gravel was dirty, so I've just run it over with a hose to try and clear it so that it looks the same colour. So when it dries, it should look the same. But yeah, I think that looks really, really nice. So that space is lovely. I'm going to have the fire pit there, some chairs, and that bit's kind of done. And now to concentrate over here. Quick progress report. The semicircle is all the way done to here, and then all I've done is try to make sure that it finishes on a nice straight line that I can then use to turn the bricks and do my straight line down here. I know I'm a DIYer, but can we all just appreciate the quality of this workmanship, which is super straight along the line, as you can see there. I am running low on the slab base, but I've used a spirit level, and it's spirit level to heck. It's looking really nice, and really chuffed with how that's coming along. Just got to do some more bricks along here. I'm going to get to the side of that there, that root, and then I can put a little level on the top of wherever that one ends, and then basically restart level with that on the other side and then carry that on. So that's probably a next week problem. For now, just going to get this finished, and then I can turf this corner and get it all wet. Started buying the turf. £3 at B&Q for turf. It's very cheap. So yeah, took full advantage and bought 3 rolls. I don't think I need that much, but that's how much we've got. So yeah, that should fill the space up lovely, but I've got to get the bricks in first, so I have a line to work to. Starting by wetting the soil, as always. It's also recommended you chuck some grass seed down, but I didn't have any, and then just rolled the lawn out as before. It is a bit weird that I had to remove a big chunk of grass to make the fire pit area, only to then have to buy some fresh grass to place around the edges of it, but it did work out well, and as you heard, it was very cheap, £3 a roll, so really chuffed with that bit as well. Now that it's in, it looks a bit like this. Just before moving on to lighting, I decided to get my trusty paint sprayer back out, and I did 2 coats on the shed and the remaining part of the fence. You'll recall that I couldn't get to this previously because there was a big pile of bricks there, which I've since moved, of course. So nice and easy, and just made it all tie in with the painting that I'd already done. So as you've seen from the AI garden design, there were some lights at the back amongst the ivy on the back wall, which I should hopefully be showing you now. What I've done is I bought these lovely solar lights. Now, I don't normally get solar, but these ones had really good reviews. They were £25 for 4, which is a good sign. Normally solar's quite cheap, so the fact that these are expensive solar lights, I'm a bit more reassured that they'll do a good job. There's a button because there's 3 white settings. I'm going to have them the same as the other lights on a warm white setting. So I need a way of attaching these onto the hedge. I've had a look, and the hedge is actually quite far behind where the ivy is growing. So I've been trying to think of ways of being able to mount them on there, equally spaced, of course. And I came up with an idea. I've used these in another project on the Han Solo light project. And this is a loft stilt. Feed these back. So loft stilt, you put these normally in your loft to have air circulation under the boards. These are cheap. These are like £1.80, and it's really hard wearing plastic. Now the beauty of using plastic is that you're never going to need to paint this, treat it in any way. It will withstand all different temperatures, different weathers, etc. So that's going to be perfect. I'm going to screw the back bit to the fence, which is through the ivy there. And then the front bit, if you see here, it's absolutely perfect for these. So that'll be probably glued onto the front, and then it'll hold it further forward so that it'll allow the ambient light to work on the back there. So I'm going to do that now. And I think at night particularly, this is just going to add a lot more depth to the garden. You'll actually be able to see the back wall, which I think is going to look lovely. So as you can see, the stilt goes all the way back through the long ivy. I've just screwed it with 2 screws, which I've managed to use to balance it so I can decide if it needs to come forward or back at the bottom, and also side to side. I've used a spirit level to be able to make sure that it's straight on there, and most importantly straight on there. I don't want the light being different, so I want it to make sure it's perfectly straight like that. And then I've just used some double-sided tape, so that's gone on there. So I'm going to peel this off and then just start gluing the lights onto the front. It is worth mentioning that these lights do come supplied with both screws and outdoor sticky pads. They were in the box, and for some reason when I went to install them, they weren't in the box, so I must have dropped them or lost them somewhere in the house. So that's why I used those 4 strips as you saw in the previous clip. Here I am just using the spirit level to make sure that it's perfectly straight, and then once I was happy at the top, I then just pressed it all the way down the rest of the light. And it was just a case of rearranging the ivy so that it didn't look like it was out of place. Great thing about these lights is they do blend in very, very well, so you can hardly see them when they're not on. But when nighttime comes, which obviously I'll show you in the reveal at the end, these are going to look really, really beautiful. So as you can see, you can hardly spot them. There's 1, 2, and the other 2 you can't really see at all. So result. So I said earlier in the video that I looked at this side of the garden in 2 parts, really. The part with the fire pit and then this long line. So first job here was to remove all of the pavers that were already there, move all of the gravel back as well. I did find by using the string line that the pavers were kind of going to be level with the grass, which wasn't ideal, but that's the only way that I could make it a perfectly straight line. Then I used a new string line to work out any grass that needed to be removed to make a nice straight cut. So as you can see here, that's what we did, and that's how I managed to work out where the front of the bricks was going to be. So I didn't bother filming it because you've seen me do enough pavers by this point in the series. Videos 1 and 2 show you how I do pavers, so if you want to know, just go and see those. I've laid about 60, I think it's 60 or 70 in total. Annoyingly, I ran out of material right before basically the last one. I've got to buy a whole new bag just to put 1 brick in there. But what I've done is I've leveled that side leveled it straight onto here. I used a string line for that, so these are all continuous. I have backfilled it now with the gravel, which looks really, really nice. It's the same gravel, it's just wet at the moment, just to get any dust off. And then I've put some dirt at the front. A little bit annoying, as you'll probably see. Oh, butterfly. As you'll see, the line here was pretty much level with the grass. There wasn't a lot I could do about that because, as I mentioned at the beginning, the garden slopes that way. So it's a little bit annoying, but I have, excuse the lighting, I have managed to get a lovely line which is level with this one. That one, of course, is level with that one, which of course is kind of level with that one, though we had to taper that one down just a little bit. So I'm really pleased with that. So I have decided, based on the AI design, which I'm going to show you again now, I'm going to put some little spots in here on the ground, aiming up, and I'm going to try and space it between the lights that are in. So there'll kind of be one there, etc. I also did consider getting some exterior slat wall, because in the design there is slat wall on this wall, but I've looked, and based on the spacing, especially with these trees here, I don't know how I'm going to be able to equally space it, because I could put a nice big one there in the middle, but then I can't put one there, which is where the next one would need to be. I can't put one there, and likewise if I put one thin one there, one thin one there, which will look a bit lost, it's not really going to work. So I'm going to think of something else. But for now, get some little spotlights in, and then hopefully we can do a reveal for this evening. So here's my idea. When we bought this house, the previous owners left this water feature. I think it works, but we don't have any power around here. I've just put it on the back of the house, and it's currently used for storing water hoses. I'm wondering, because of the vertical kind of slat wall that was in the AI design, could we utilize this as a centerpiece at the bottom of the garden? It's metal, so it's going to be a bit heavy, but I think I'm pretty strong. I can lift it. Let's see if we can use it. There's unfortunately no footage of us struggling to get the water feature to the bottom of the garden into its current location. If there was, it would probably just be 15 minutes of my wife swearing at me. So I've saved you all an earache. Coincidentally, this is the perfect height. It is the same height as the hedge, which was just by chance, but I'm very pleased that that's the case. And as I'll point out here, there's a power supply which currently doesn't have anywhere to plug it. So I'm going to have to get a separate power source. So first job after cleaning it down was to make sure that it was perfectly level. And as you'll see here, I made sure the tank was flat first of all. I then checked the side, which was also perfectly straight. And then I had to check from front to back to make sure that it was nice and level there as well. I don't want the water falling straight from the jet straight into the tank. It's got to run down, which is where you kind of get the effect on this feature. I then reused some stones which were just located around the garden. So I just picked up a load of larger stones, kind of like river stones, I think these are. And I decided to test the water feature live on camera, which could have been a huge mistake and would have made me look very silly. I may or may not be doing this foolishly. I've decided to do my first test of the water feature on camera. So the water here, by the way, is just where I've been spraying because it doesn't quite reach. So I've had to stand over there, spray at this to fill it up. And as I'll show you now, it is now at the required level to fully submerge the pump. Let's test this. This is the longest extension lead I've got. That's as far as this cable will go. And this isn't going to get much closer, so it's just about enough. Any good? Is it doing anything? Oh, we have movement. Ooh, it's okay. Oh, it's coming. Along with lots of bugs that are probably trapped in all the vents. I think these are about £1,000 if you buy one from a garden centre. I have seen these on Marketplace for normally about £100 to £200. The type of thing that a lot of people will buy, as I think the previous homeowner did here. They buy it because they think it looks nice and then realise that they don't want it, and they just left it here when they moved out. And you know, we're making good use of it. What I could do is put one of the solar lights in it. I think it'll look better if there's lighting above it. If I can get a power source down here, maybe just a 2-gang, and stick it into the little bit of fence that's available here, maybe hide it, then we can power it from there. And we'll also be able to run 1 meter strip light. I think that'll be plentiful. It's the one of those flex lights. If I can get one of them in there, which I can control off my phone, then I can make the colour of the water change, which will reflect lovely given that it's stainless steel. So I think that'll look really nice. As I say, I don't think this is going to necessarily stay here permanently. Once there is a deck, it will be moved on to there. But for now, I mean, I think that's a nice feature. And it should be bang centre between these lights. I've measured, because I'm sad, the distance, which is 96 centimetres from there to there, 25 centimetres from there to there, and I've done the same on here with this one, 96. So it's pretty much there, just a few little tweaks, and this side of the garden is almost finished. Thank God for that. So I've been thinking about ways to illuminate the new water feature in the garden, and I went on eBay, and I'll show you this link now. I managed to pick up a waterproof IP rated cob light, because you know I love cob lights, circuit on board lighting. It's like a very fancy LED with lots and lots and lots of lights inside. And this one has already been pre-wired onto a UK 3-pin plug. This wasn't expensive. I think I paid round about £9 for it. It's only a 1 meter length, but it is cuttable every 10 centimeters, and the space that I've got to fill is actually 80 centimeters. So I should be able to cut a little bit off, plug it straight into a new power source, which I'm also waiting on, should hopefully be here today. And, oh, got a sticker on me. Then it should be a case of sticking that on the inside of the water feature to be able to make it look fancy. So we'll get that installed later today. Just before doing the lighting, I wanted to tackle a few of the niggles that I had with this project. The first was the gap on the paving, which I fixed with some Dansand polymeric sand. This stuff's expensive. It's about 40 quid for 20 kilos, and I only ended up using about 1, maybe 2 kilos of the stuff. But what you do is you brush it into the gaps, and then you just run it over with some water, and it sets rock solid to make a nice solid bit of paving. I did also, as you'll see here, use some frog tape to be able to seal the front as best I could and reduce the amount of wastage onto the grass. But any that did come off, I just went round once it had set and picked it out of the grass, so it didn't actually look like this at the end. The other great thing about this sand is it tied in lovely with the gravel that I decided to reuse, so it was a nice way of transitioning with the anthracite. Then what I did was I reused a pot, a very heavy pot, which already had a dying plant in it. So I put that in front of one of the garden screens just to add a little bit of visual interest. I might well replace this at some point. But as you can see, I then used a spirit level to be able to make sure it was nice and flat. And then the last bit was just round the fire pit. I wanted to put an old table, which I've got. I'll probably get a new one eventually. I put a nice disco ball planter with an artificial plant in it, just for something for now to look nice. And then I also reused an Acapulco chair, which I think I got from B&M for about 25 quid. They're quite comfy, these. So going back to the water feature, what I did here was, first of all, remove the top. I found that this came off completely. It was a solid piece of metal on all sides. There's no gaps or breaks in it. So what I had to do is on the reverse, on the top left, I had to use my grinder to cut a little area out just big enough to feed that new IP rated LED light through. And once it was through, I just peeled off the plastic adhesive bit at the back and stuck it in. I did, disclaimer, have to take this off and replace it later because I actually stuck it in the wrong place. But for now, very happy with how the end result came out. And as you'll see here, it does look nice and straight all the way along and just curls back up at the end there. So last bit was to put this up, and I did already put my power supply in. You'll be pleased to know that was off camera, a bit boring. But the best bit is now to show you the reveal, which I'm so excited to show you guys. I think I've worked so hard on this project, as you will have seen, and I really do hope you like it. So let's have a reveal, shall we?